Working with the chip rod here, trying to get some better positions at the top. Yep. So what that helps us out with our takeaway. So let's do that again. So go to position number 2. So go ahead. Good. All right. And then from there, go ahead and swing through. So trying to create that good width in the backswing. The other thing we're working on with the driver is trying to get that hip forward, head back. That's going to be our fill. Let's go ahead and see that. Very good. That's a good coil. And then rotate on through. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want to see. We'll see some of those on the video as well. Before and after. So on the left side is before, right side is after. So you can see how left hip is a lot more forward, left shoulder, left hip, and inside of the foot all line up together. Here on the left side, you can see the little gap between the left hip and the line. So as we swing back, what you'll see is, so there we are, top of the backswing on the left. So notice the hip rotation there. And then in the new setup, so top of the backswing, see how much more coil and rotation there is. Just look at the left pocket. You can see there's a lot more turn on the right-hand side where we're keeping the left hip more forward and head more back. So that's going to stack us up with a little more weight on our right side to create some more power and hopefully better launch angles. So that's exactly what we want to see from that side. So hip forward, head back, but also there's plenty of turn. And then as we go forward into hit the golf ball, again, you can just see how we're stacked up on that front side. Good looking attack angle there as we're going up on the ball versus on the left hand side. See how we're coming down a little bit more. So just a big difference there between the two swings where we're keeping left hip forward, head more back. All right, Maverick, so your tendency since we started working together is to come a little bit up and out of your posture. Your hands get too high at impact, leading to big blocks that go to the right. And then you try to save it with your hands and you flip the club, causing big hooks. So just very inconsistent. So on the left-hand side, what you'll be able to see is how the club gets too far inside on the takeaway. Top of the backswing, a little bit flat, not bad though. And then you can see how the elbows are separated. And then on the downswing, we can see how we start to stand up a little bit and then our hands get up a little bit too high. Club goes out to the right and above the plane. So you actually did a much better job of staying in your posture there. Club gets coming from the inside and then our hands just get a little bit too high, causing the big blocks, okay? So what we see on the right-hand side is more of what we're looking for. This is the after. So club takeaway is right up the plane like it should be. Top of the backswing looks great. And then on the downswing, what we see is our hands and the club are a lot lower going into impact, and you see how the club goes more to the left. And see how much farther left the arms are exiting, lots of rotation there, and still good full extension. Perfect. We also did a little work with another training aid. We've got the ball right there between our forearms, and what you see is that this gets us a better structure at the top of the backswing. With our forearms, our elbows are closer together. Then as we swing down, you see how everything stays together. We come back into impact with our hands very, very low, and again, still exiting left. And that's exactly what we want to see as we come back down into impact with the driver. Perfect. Okay, so we're actually going to pace this off. So it's a different hole now. We're going to try to get that 1-to-2 ratio. What we're going to do first is we're going to walk it from right here where this ball is. So let's do this together. Okay, so count it 1, 2, 3, 4. So stop right there on 4. Okay. Yeah, put a T right there. Perfect. Okay. So now let's walk up to that hole and let's see how far that is. So that's 5, okay. So now if we take this back 1 yard, that would be 3, correct? Okay, and then that would make to the hole what? That'd make it 6 to the hole. Okay, so that's our, yep, so that's our 1-to-2 ratio. So 3 in the air, okay, and then 6 on the ground. So we're gonna land it just where that T is gonna be our goal. Rolls out almost perfect to the hole. All right, so those are 3 really good shots right there. All right, so now let's grab your sand wedge. Now sand wedge is a 1-to-1 ratio, correct? Okay, so now let's walk it off again. So we know it's 9, so let's walk that tee off to 4.5. Okay, right about there. So let's see where these balls are with the pitching wedge. That's a 1-to-2 ratio. All those are gimmies, wouldn't we say? Yep. Okay. So now we had to land it farther. Okay, still a good shot. Still 3 great shots there. So let's come up here and let's take a look at it. So we had to fly it farther. So the farther you fly it, what? It's gonna be harder to do, correct? Okay. And then again, still 3 good shots, but with the pitching wedge, we took our miss out of the equation. So even if you miss it with the pitching wedge, you're gonna be closer. So we want the ball hitting the green as soon as possible so we get it rolling like a putt versus flying in the air. So that's really what I want you to concentrate on your next round of golf. All right, Maverick, so we're doing a little FaceTime call tonight. Got a message from you earlier today, and you shot a great round today. Now, is that your low round ever?
Yes, that beats it by 3 strokes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about it. Tell us what the total score was, where you're at. Give us a little check.
I shot 63. My lowest is 66, and I think really today was wedges and putting. It wasn't that great off the tee. So I kind of had to manage that. I've been playing that fade, and it wouldn't fade today. It kind of went straight. I only hit 2 fairways on the front, but I hit 5 on the back, so that helped out.
That's awesome. So it's amazing. Just the past couple of weeks, we've really been honing in on wedges and short game, putting, and all of a sudden you go out there and shoot career round low 63. And yep. I saw in the text you said, hey, it's a short course, whatnot, but regardless, it was still a 63. So that's,
short course, that means I'm hitting a lot of wedge shots, so
that's right.
We just playing that in our favor, I guess.
That's right, for sure. So, and that's a pretty cool experience today. You played with your grandfather in this little tournament. So yeah. Tell us about that too.
Yeah, he hadn't been able to get out and play because they just finished moving not too long ago. So it's been a year since he's played, so it's nice to get out and play around with him and see what he's got.
Man, isn't that the great thing about golf? I mean, you're out there playing with your grandfather and spending 4+ hours with him. So that's awesome, man. That's fantastic. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the round. And so on the front side, I guess you started on 16 with a shotgun start. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, started on 16, par 3.
All right, so tell us a little bit about it and what all happened. So just kind of give us, hole by hole or highlights of the round. How about that?
I would say the highlight of the round is my last hole, which would be 15. I had like a 50-footer, and it literally broke 15 feet right to left. So I ended up making that for birdie to finish my round, which was really nice.
Man, that's awesome.
And but yeah, the only hiccup I had was on hole 7. It was 107 downhill, and I was in between clubs, and I didn't have the club I would normally hit, so I had to kind of manufacture one, and so I took 60 degree and pretty much swung as hard as I could and missed it right and short-sided myself. But that was really the only hiccup I had, I would say, because I made bogey on the hole. So yeah. So that's phenomenal. So you go out there and shoot 63 for the first time ever and make a bogey. Yeah.
So that's
yeah, definitely.
So any eagles today? I saw the score.
No, I had several eagle opportunities on the par 5s, and I had one that just barely didn't get to the hole, and then another that lipped out. So,
okay. So
that was pretty nice.
Lots of birdies, obviously. Now, were they long putts, short putts? How'd you make so many birdies today?
I had a lot of pitch shots, like I said, and we've been practicing that. There were a lot of 30-yarders, 40-yarders, and I actually hit the pin on one, and it spun back 12 feet.
Okay.
But I had a lot of putts, 6 feet, 7 feet that I made, and just a few here and there. I had 2 that were outside of that makeable range that you would think about, probably 20 feet, and obviously that 45 footer I told you about.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. It's so fun to see your work come to fruition, and just, I know it's only been 2 weeks in, and just to see that progress so already, and to see, again, your career low. And tell us again the name of the course. It was Waibu down in Santee, is that right?
Yeah, the players course at Waibu, yeah.
Okay, so the TPC course down there at the Waibu.
Yeah.
Well, that's phenomenal. So I know yesterday we went to the Wells Fargo together and watched some tour pros. And kind of, what would you say some of your takeaways were from just watching those guys out there on tour? And what's the thoughts there?
It's like what we've been working on. I mean, their short game is just, it's world class, and there's not a place anywhere that they can't get up and down from. And then I would say also, their wedge shots are, they're 6 feet, 7 feet, almost on demand. So,
yep.
Yeah,
that's where it's at for sure. And we're not going to hit 18 out of 18 greens very often. When we do, we want to take advantage of it. But being able to get up and down when we do miss a green is a big part of it. And I know we had a great discussion on the ride home yesterday, and even on the ride up, we talked a little bit about your skill and your ability. You said you're 6'3". You're going to the gym, and I'm actually talking to you tonight, and it's after 9 o'clock, and you're at the hotel gym working out. So that's a big statement to what you're doing there. So that's awesome. But on the ride up, we talked about your average club head speed. I know that's something we're working on now as well. So this past week, we started our speed training. So what is your average club head speed now? What was your max that you got to this week?
I would say my average is right around 115 to 118.
And that's on course, you'd say?
Yeah, that's like on course.
Okay.
Before we started the speed training.
Yep.
But I got my max to 124.
Okay.
With the driver last week.
Fantastic.
When we started.
Yeah. And I think we looked up the average on tour is somewhere between 113 and 115. There's some guys in the 120s, and we followed a group, Cameron Young, and then was it Colin Morikawa that was playing with him?
Yeah,
so
completely different players, yeah.
For sure. Cameron we saw one par 5, and he's 60 yards in front of Morikawa. And it's just such an advantage to have that speed, and that's something that we're going to work on a lot as well. But, short game, and, hopefully I hit the nail home last night on the drive home that, we've got to master the basics first, and that's what we're really working on these first couple weeks. And I think you've put in the grind and the work this week with that short game, with the little 4-yard chip shot we're working on, which is just a basic chip shot. And, we even watched Victor Hovland, hole number 9, I guess he was finishing up on, and we both kind of commented on that. So we want to tell them about what we saw there.
Yeah, he had that standard little pitch shot. He probably only had to land it 3 or 4 yards. The whole chip was maybe 8 yards, so 24 feet, and he landed it halfway to the hole, which would have been like 4 or 5 yards, and he ended up with like a 6-footer for par on his last hole. So you never want that knee knocker coming back on the last hole, or any hole for that matter.
Yeah, any hole for that matter. But both of us commented at the time, like, that's something that was a shot that was makeable. And
it was, and you would want to be looking at making those every now and then.
So I know this past week we were at Golden Hills, and we worked some, and we were hoping to get on the golf course. It was just too crowded, but we worked a lot around the green, and then we did a little challenge, and that'll be in this week's video as well. But we we did our sand wedge for 9 holes, we did our pitching wedge for 9 holes, and then did a 7-iron. So what were your thoughts on that this week?
Yeah, we did the sand wedge first, and then the pitching wedge, and then the 7-iron. But when we got to the 7-iron, it was pretty poor. But when I started to do it, probably 5 or 6 shots in, I could really feel my hands starting to soften up and getting some good feels around the greens. And then we went back around with the 56 degree. You and I had that competition. It was like night and day. Like, my feel, I had a lot better feel after using that 7-iron.
Yeah. And it's amazing using different clubs around the green and just seeing how the club interacts with the golf ball. And that's what every player needs to learn how to do. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I think, a lot of times, and I fuss at my juniors about this. I will probably fuss at you about this at some point, but just fall in love with one club around the green, which is always good because then you know what to expect. But being able to hit different clubs and having some creativity around the greens will definitely help you out. And even if you don't use it all the time, but if you practice with it, just like you said, your hands started to soften up. You had to have some touch in order to hit these shots around the green. So that's a big difference. So, man, I can't say how proud I am of you. I'm sure Grandpa was smiling ear to ear when you were playing with him. So
yeah, he was.
What was he saying during the round? That's what I'd be interested in as well.
Well, I mean, he knows not to really mess with me during my competitive rounds because he's watched me and stuff.
Yeah.
So we don't really talk about like score or whatever, but we just kind of joke around and have a good time until the end, and then we can really look at it and enjoy the score and the results of it.
So I'm sure he's bragging to his friends like, "Hey, my grandson shot 63 today."
Yeah, I got in, and all of his friends were like, they could not believe it. And not to mention, I drove one green. It was number 9. It's like a hard dogleg left, a 90-degree dogleg left.
Yep.
And I just aimed straight over the trees and smoked one and hit it like 30 yards over the green.
That's awesome.
And they could not believe it. Got up and down for birdie, so
man,
that was definitely a story going through the clubhouse when I got back.
Well, that's phenomenal, man. I can't say how proud I am of you, and I know your grandpa is too. And putting in the work, and really excited about these next couple months where we're working together and just seeing how you can take your game to the next level. And we commented on it yesterday when we were walking on the golf course at up there at Quill Hollow. Just why not us, right? Next year, it could be you out there. At the end of the day, we followed around a group. Willie Wood, the third.
Willie Mack, the third.
Willie Mack, that's right. Willie Mack, the third. Yep. But we talked to his dad for just a brief moment, and he's been chasing it out there for a while. But this guy Monday qualified for the Quill Hollow, and he's out there playing a PGA Tour event. And, he was right at the cut line, and then drivable number 14, and he ends up making double bogey. And just talk about some of the choices he made and probably what he could have done better. So like, what would be your thoughts on that? And
yeah, he was like, what was it, cut 1 under, and he was kind of like right around even.
Yep.
I could see where he would pull out driver there, but I mean, the water on the left, you can't really miss right. It's kind of a questionable choice there, pulling driver off the tee, whereas he could pull like a long iron or maybe even 3-wood and lay back a little bit.
Yep.
And have that 60-yard wedge shot, to that pin. And worst, he makes par.
Yep.
And he might sneak in a birdie there, but he ended up making double?
Yeah, he made double.
Bogey.
Yep.
He hit it way right and then pitched it into the pond. So yeah, definitely not a desirable outcome on that hole.
Yeah, it was definitely an impossible up and down what he had over there in the trees. And the sad part is the next hole is a reachable par 5, and even his dad commented on that when we spoke to him, like, just we got to get that out of him. Like, he's always going for it, and he could have laid back and made birdie with his wedge, and then the next hole's par 5 and easily could have made the cut, but because of a poor decision. And that's, the mental side. And we talked a lot about
it,
yeah, and we talked about that a lot on the ride home as well, just the mental side of golf and kind of your thought process and philosophy. And I know you're very analytical, and we talked about, your brother's a good player as well and how he's different. And it's kind of more of a field player and just kind of goes with the flow, but you're analytical and go through the process. And so, yeah, it's just interesting, different approaches to golf, and definitely look forward to our work over the next couple months. So, anything else you want to add to that, or talk about your round today, or?
No, I mean, I'm pretty pleased with it. Obviously, there's some shots I wish I had back, but other than that, no, pretty pleased with it.
So you play again tomorrow.
Yep, that's right.
Yep. So, and this is always the hardest round of golf. You have a great round, and then going to follow up. So just your mindset going into tomorrow, and if things don't quite work out like they did today, being able to accept it. But let's go and let's see if we can repeat today's round, and let's see what we can do for tomorrow. So,
well, I think the biggest thing is, just keeping that focus on each shot at a time, finding your target and over the ball. That's all that really matters is your target. And if you just keep your mind there, then results and score just kind of take care of themselves, I think.
That's right. And I do want to ask about this. I know we worked a little bit on Thursday, and I know you haven't had to put it into practice yet, but we talked about you're already a fast player, but talked about speeding up your pre-shot routine even a little bit more. And you probably didn't put that in play yet, but just...
I did on the putting, yep.
Really? Okay. Well, fantastic. And you said you made a lot of putts today, so that's...
I did. I putted well. I had very good speed control, and we worked on that penny drill. Kind of gave me a new perspective on putting.
Okay.
So I did do that. I found a very small spot on the lip of the hole to putt to. I didn't necessarily putt to the hole, so I felt like that was very key to putting today.
That's awesome, man. Now, I think you said it. I know I've said it a million times whenever I've been teaching, but small target, small miss. Absolutely. And that's the mindset and the philosophy behind it. So that's great, man. Well, hey, again, I'm proud of you. Congratulations on your career round. Tomorrow, let's go out there and let's see if we can do it again.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Maverick. Thanks, man. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.